Hello and welcome to this episode of Kennedy Saves the World. We are on the precipice of Mardi Gras. That means that people are abusing their bodies in every way imaginable. So I had to talk to someone who spent many seasons in New Orleans and understands the ground firsthand. Sandra Smith, a host, anchor of America Reports. Cheers.
Cheers, Kennedy. Thank you so much for having
me. Here we go.
Là, c'est les bons temps poulet.
Oh, that's good.
Oh, boy.
I made you a
Yes.
chocolate-covered strawberry old-fashioned. Now, I saw this on Instagram, and I have the chocolate bitters, the orange bitters, obviously.
Like, this is a serious drink. This is.
That's why it's a tiny glass. And then you put a chocolate-covered strawberry in there, hello, friend, to make it celebratory.
I mean.
With the chocolate rim.
I hope you can't zoom because I literally just cut my finger and I have this lovely Band-Aid paper cut. This is beautiful, and thank you so much for sharing your cocktail expertise with us because you are the master. This is awesome.
Isn't it yummy?
Yeah, amazing.
It's like this kind of thing will get you in trouble.
So I actually did not wear this jacket on the air today. I threw it on because it's my Louisiana purple jacket.
Very good.
So Mardi Gras is one of my favorite times of year.
Yeah.
I say I'm like one of the only people north of New York City, in the neighborhoods up there, throws a Mardi Gras party. I don't go crazy, but I homemade jambalaya, gumbo, red beans and rice. One year I did make my own homemade king cake, and I live to regret that. It was, you have a lot of respect for those beautiful baked king cakes that get delivered to you.
What is the key to a king cake? For people who don't know.
Kneading it. It's almost like a bread.
Oh, okay.
And then I braided it, and I did the whole thing, and I stuck the baby in it, and there's a lot of different takes on the baby. Some people say it means if you bite in, you get the baby, you have to host the next Mardi Gras party. But maybe that person will never do that, so you say it's good luck for the new year, whatever you come up with. But, there's a lot of different ways to see Mardi Gras down in Louisiana. Mm-hmm. I saw some of the country Mardi Gras on horseback. It's incredible.
That's amazing.
Oh, yeah, no, it's way old school and very country in some of those,
how important
outer Louisiana towns outside of New Orleans.
And how important is it to those communities?
Everything. I mean, you can make the economic case how important it is to them, but it's more about their pride in their state and their, culture. I always say Louisiana was one of the most foreign places in the entire United States that I've ever been, and I recommend it to people because it's just different there. I learned to live my life differently going to school down there. I loved that the boys dance and they cook, and they're not afraid to be good old Southern men down there. But it's a different South in Southeast Louisiana. They take great pride in their food, their music. Every time I would go home with somebody, because I didn't get to go home that much for holidays, youngest of 6 kids, my parents were like, maybe you just stay this Easter. And I would go home with a friend. And I would get to see their churches and the type of music they play in their house, the type of food that they cook. And it's like just an incredible, the traditions they carry on there, the culture, it's just so different and so much respect for it.
And, also it is a religious event because it marks the beginning of Lent. So for Lent, depending on your faith, it's a time, at least in the Eastern Orthodox faith, it's when you give something up because whatever you're missing, God can replace.
Yeah.
If you give up something that's important to you, something that is a luxury, and you feel like you're going to miss it, that's the point, because you want somewhat of a hole there, and then you realize through prayer you can access God, which makes you completely whole. Yeah. So that's the point of Lent. But the point of Mardi Gras,
the last hurrah.
You're going to have 6 weeks of, presumably depending on how you participate in Lent, like it's dry. For some people, it's vegan. For other people, it's a lot of time in church or a lot of time in prayer and reflection. Yeah. So it's, there is a religious element to it, which makes it celebratory.
Absolutely. Everybody's at Ash Wednesday the following day. But Mardi Gras is the last hurrah, and that's why they're outside and they're throwing beads for people to do certain things. You've been to a Mardi Gras?
I have been to a Mardi Gras. Uh-huh. I got in a lot of trouble at a Mardi Gras because I was asking the fellas to do some stuff for beads, and they did.
I have no idea what you're talking about,
People
Kennedy.
didn't take kindly to that, particularly law enforcement, so I was ushered out of the building.
Only Kennedy can go and actually, break Mardi Gras.
Yeah, it was one of the things where like, no, thank you, and don't go back. And I'm like, all right. So you obviously were a steeplechaser at LSU.
Baton Rouge, yeah.
Where did Mardi Gras fall on the track calendar?
Always in the middle of it. I mean, there was really
Oh,
no
okay.
off season for track because we were track and cross country.
Yeah.
As middle distance or distance runners, you are training all year. So if you're middle or a long distance in track, you're running cross country. But you were right at late February, early March. You were right in the indoor track season.
Oh.
Still trained outside. I mean, remember, it's warm all year almost. Still trained outside. But yeah, but their school's off for Mardi Gras down there.
Oh.
You can't make that.
Did you ever get in trouble?
Ever get in trouble? Not like legal trouble, no. Was I doing things I probably shouldn't have been doing? Probably.
Did you ever overdo it?
I stayed out late, Kennedy.
Good for you. That's what college is for. Like, I always wondered because I went to college as an adult and I was pregnant my senior year. It was a very different experience, but I always wondered, like, what is it like for athletes? Like, do you get to unwind like other kids who are away from home for the first time?
I always say no. It teaches you such discipline and to be so strict with your body and what you eat and what you drink, what you consume, how you sleep, what you breathe, what you wear. I mean, it makes you running, particularly as an athlete, makes you think about every little detail. Some people say with their sports, they can still go have a beer the night before. It's like track. It's like you're thinking about every single thing that you're doing. From your
you need those muscles to fire.
Everything.
Yes.
Have I ever told you the story about this 26-year-old German female that showed up as with 1 year left of eligibility? She showed up at LSU and I won't use her name, but she used to drink a pint of beer the night before the race. And we all would be like, oh, I can't believe it. And she was fast.
Yeah.
I'm still third on the all-time list for the LSU steeplechase.
That is awesome.
She blew me down. I had topped the all-time list when I was down there. She came along and she pushed me down. She's still number one. She was dynamite. I couldn't figure out why she was 26 and she came in from Germany, but she was a fierce runner, no doubt. But the pint of beer the night before, we were all like, how?
So my triathlon coach drank a bottle of wine the night before her first Ironman championship, and she won.
I love her.
She won. So
I think I need to meet her.
So, and I always ask her, like, for how long should I abstain from alcohol before a race? And she's like, hey, if it's a part of your life when you're training, then you don't necessarily have to cut it out. Like, if a glass of wine with dinner relaxes you, then that's okay to do. I mean, you obviously don't want to drink to the point where you're buzzed or drunk, because that means you're dehydrated.
Right.
And that is when you compromise yourself.
She's probably one of those, has a glass when she gets home, has one during dinner, maybe has one before bed, and the bottle's gone.
She did it to calm her nerves. The day before, she got a bottle of wine early in the day.
But what I can imagine is maybe, too, it was about sleep for her.
Yeah.
Maybe if she just knew it was going to, like, if she had... bottle's pretty interesting, but maybe she knew this would get her to bed at a reasonable time and would put her out, and therefore she would get the sleep she needed. Then maybe it's okay.
Yeah, so
clearly it is. She won.
said it calmed her nerves, and that was the thing that was holding her back. And if she had gone into the race as nervous as she was, she would not have won. Don't go anywhere. More Kennedy Saves the World right after this.
I have a few
Look at that
props,
bag.
okay? All right, so can I take some of these
Yes.
out? Okay, first of all, these are some treats for you. I have a separate bag. I'll put these in for you. Okay, so Zapp's, made in Louisiana. Nowhere in the grocery store will you find in your local spicy Cajun crottators flavor of Zapp's potato chips. And then, of course, there's the New Orleans kettle-style Voodoo Zapp's chips, okay? Enjoy.
And they're gluten-free.
All right.
This is the best day ever.
Okay, there's
I've never
also
had
one of the
Voodoo
best
flavored
Cajun seasonings around, and it's Slap Your Mama. Okay, there you go. That's for you.
I've heard of that, but I've never seen it.
It is delicious.
That's incredible.
It's the Tony Chachere's line. So a lot of us keep
Also
Tony
gluten-free.
Chachere's in our kitchen. This is a very special version of that Cajun spice.
Unreal.
This is for you to make some bourbon chicken at home. Okay, it's
Oh, that is so
delicious.
cool.
Just add chicken.
Okay.
This is
So the bourbon's already in here.
this is Zatarain's.
I like the
it's
vertical
home
integration.
Okay. I also brought some of my favorite beads to wear. Okay. I have the most amazing collection of beads that I collected over time. You didn't know I was bringing props, did you?
LSU Tigers.
Okay, yeah. So these are, and look at me, moving around, twisted them up. Okay. So I brought some of these, and then this is also for you.
Those are amazing.
These are all food. So I go on a mission every year to make sure that I buy, and I have like boxes of all this stuff at home. It's all made in Louisiana foods. And of course, they put red beans in just about everything.
That is so cool. I want to make red beans and rice.
Mix that in with your rices. That one's actually harder to get. You won't find that like in your local store.
This is incredible. So
That's
I'm going
really
to
good.
add this. I'm going to save it for my Easter feast.
100%.
And I'm going to make red beans and rice.
That would be perfect. Here's a couple cocktail cups for you. Okay. And so I think
These
that's
are
like the
amazing.
extent of it. And these are another one of
Mardi
my...
Gras.
I have so many beads at home. These ones, this one has the Louisiana flag on it.
That's beautiful.
And then this, okay, I'm going to finish by showing you this as my prop. This cookbook, okay, I have two of these. I have one up in our Catskills house, one here. I'm sorry, apparently I don't know how to shut that off.
Or you're very popular, which is great, and I applaud that.
Thank you. So this is the Louisiana tiger bait recipes. And so I always say I left my heart in Louisiana.
Yes.
It became such a big part of my world to the point where I cook for my family out of here all the time. The one that's really beat up. It's up at my other house.
Those are my favorite recipes.
Oh my God.
I love the pages of a cookbook where it's stained and there are drops and
Lots of those.
fingerprints. Like that is the worn pages of a cookbook. You know those are the best recipes.
I wish I had the other one. This is a kind of a tiny example. But what I do is every time I make a recipe out of any of my cookbooks, I note what I was doing in that moment.
Aww.
Made with Johnny and Cora before school, 10/21/24. No nuts per JC. So I note something they liked or didn't like about that recipe. But I write all over the cookbooks. You got it? You got it? You got it? Okay.
1 and 2 and 1 and there we go.
So anyway, but some of the recipes in here are incredible. They're selected recipes from LSU alums. And I
That
make
is
a
so
lot of those for
cool.
Mardi Gras.
So, and you know that a lot of people grew up in Louisiana. They probably grew up cooking with their grandmother, and grandmothers have the best recipes of anyone ever.
Yeah. Oh, and it's a collection of those. They're awesome. There's gator recipes in there.
I love gator.
Hot boudin balls. Like
I had those on my prom night. It's so wrong. I'm so sorry.
Oh my gosh. You didn't know you were getting this much Mardi Gras.
I love it. No one ever brings props. Like, this is incredible. Jack, who was Booze Traveler, he has made me a couple drinks, but no one has ever brought me chips and bourbon chicken and slap your mama and red beans for red beans and
and
rice.
now I'm going to bead you as well.
Do I have?
Oh! So we should talk about that.
Yes.
So Bourbon Street, people
These
always
are
say like,
amazing.
"What do you do to get the beads?" And you're like,
Oh, my garden.
Oh boy,
Really?
So I guess, it's like, it's flashing.
Yeah.
There's a thing. I did not ever do that. Otherwise, it's fun to just catch the beads and accumulate them.
Sure.
So.
And they throw them off of floats and they throw candy.
Yeah, and candy. And
Yeah.
it's a great time. It's as clean or not as you make it.
Yeah.
But it's a good family time as well. I know families who live up here who still take their kids down, and they have their ways of enjoying it. Uptown along St. Charles Avenue, there's nothing like it. It's a really special time of year and really special people, and I miss it.
When was the last time you were back?
We just went for an LSU Ole Miss football game. It's the first time I ever got my kids down
Oh, wow.
there, and we had the best time.
I bet it made a big impression on them.
I think so. They really enjoyed it.
Yeah, when you take your kids where you went to college,
Yeah.
like that's really a source of pride for them, and it also shows them what is possible.
I agree. They really took it in, actually more so than I thought that they would. And I made sure to show them some of New Orleans as well. Like I said, you're always going to read about this part of New Orleans, and I showed them uptown New Orleans and took them around, and we've tasted the flavors, and they got a good sense of it, so it was fun.
I wonder if there's a good gluten-free New Orleans.
Ooh.
Like, I tried to make beignets when I was first diagnosed with celiac, and it was a disaster. But I
Oh.
bet now, because gluten-free stuff has become so bougie, I bet there are some bakeries that make some gluten-free.
Are beans going to be naturally gluten-free?
Yes, beans are gluten-free.
Okay.
These are gluten-free. I'm going to read the ingredients on that. This is gluten-free.
Okay,
So,
perfect.
but places have gotten so good about labeling things,
Yeah.
and you just, you have to read everything. Like you for America Reports.
Yes. My mother-in-law has a sesame allergy. So
Oh,
I've learned
my.
to diligently read.
Yeah.
Because when you don't, you look at her, you're like, do you have your EpiPen? it's serious stuff. So.
Yeah, there's no feeling worse than accidentally having someone ingest food you made that could really hurt them.
Yeah.
But she's still with us. She's amazing and incredible. Thank you so much.
This is amazing.
Yes.
Thank you.
Cheers to you.
Happy Mardi Gras.
Wonderful Mardi Gras weekend. A joyous Lent.
Yes.
And Easter around the corner.
Indeed. Enjoy responsibly.
Always.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Catch the beads. Don't flash for beads. This has been Kennedy Saves the World, along with Sandra Smith. I'm Kennedy.
Listen ad-free with the Fox News Podcast Plus subscription on Apple Podcasts, and Amazon Prime members can listen to this show ad-free on the Amazon Music app.
Oh, go ahead and leave me a review while you're there. I'd love to hear what you have to say. You've been listening to Kennedy Saves the World on the Fox News Podcast Network.